remembrance. We partner with local NICUs and connect families with vital community resources such as grief retreats and support groups. Though, at the heart of our work is our bereavement box program. This sets us apart because our boxes are available immediately when a loss occurs. Since our very first donation to UT Southwestern's NICU, we've hand-delivered boxes every month in honor of a longed-for child. These curated boxes are provided at no cost to hospitals or for their families. They contain meaningful items of comfort and care, which are gifts that help families make memories in the little time they may have. These items aren't about fixing the unfixable. They're about showing families they're not alone. I know their impact firsthand. My daughter Layla, on her first birthday, we were able to donate a set of beautiful boxes in her honor to Cook Children's NICU. That experience gave me and my family the profound sense that we were carrying forward a legacy for her, making her proud, for sure. That's one way Lammy's Love offers support to grieving parents. I must also mention our deep gratitude to Mahela Lisa of House District 70 and her team for their work on House Bill 37, Everly's Law. It took effect on September 1st. It requires Texas hospitals to provide staff training on trauma and bereavement care surrounding baby loss. It also requires that they have devices available so that parents can spend the much needed time with their children and make memories if time is on their side. Because of this, Texas has become the lead and gold standard in trauma-informed care. I do want to acknowledge again that baby loss is an important subject to discuss and is often taboo. It's uncomfortable for people to talk about because, let's face it, child loss is everyone's worst nightmare. But that's why Lammy's Love exists. We break through the silence, offer compassion in a space that's too often met with avoidance. Whether or not you've been personally impacted by baby loss, grief touches all of us at some point, and Lammy's Love seeks to create a community for grievers carrying that weight. If you have any inclination to get involved, please reach out or come see us inside. It takes a village to raise a baby, and it should take a village to grieve a baby as well. Some opportunities we have are coming to see the donations and the impact firsthand, event coordination, offering skills in IT or photography or videography, and we're also looking to expand our board. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Hope you guys have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you so much, Karen. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Elaine Campbell. I'm on the RAD board. And thank you so much. That's so important. And also thank you for mentioning North Texas Giving Day. League of Women Voters is also on that. So just remember. Anyway, so we're going to do a segment allowing a couple of judges to talk at least once a month, because we want to make sure that people understand the importance of the judges. Very often, when we see the list of judges, we have no idea what they do, who they are. So we want to try to make sure that we change that, and that we are electing Democratic judges. We have two wonderful judge candidates here tonight, who are going to introduce themselves, talk about what they're running for, and how their specific judge position that they're running for affects everyone in this room. So it's going to be Erin Noel and Liz Ginsburg. So first, let's hear from Erin. Oh, you guys, no problem. So first, let's hear from Liz. Oh, you're going to, that's actually perfect, because we are short on time. So.
Well, hi, friends. I'm Elizabeth Ginsburg, and I'm running for the 191st District Court. I am a 30-plus year lawyer, and I have been practicing in these courts most of my career. And I want to, and I'll let Erin introduce herself here, and then we can talk a little bit about the courts we're running for, why these races are important, because I think a lot of folks say, judges, I don't know anything about that, I'm going to skip it. We cannot do that. Democrats cannot do that.
Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be back here, Richardson area Democrats. You may not remember me, but when I say, I think you all remember the slate of 8. I was a member of the slate of 8. We unfortunately had a loss in 2024, lost a large majority of our big slate of 8. But so I have decided that I still want to be serving Dallas County, so I am running for County Court at Law number 1.
So I'm sure most of y'all know our courts are under attack. And they are the front lines in defending our democracy. Courts have never been more important. And that's why we are begging everybody in Dallas County and frankly nationwide to pay attention to who your judges are and make sure they are doing the work that they are asked to do. I can think of this year in particular. I know the Senate race is important. I know the governor race is going to be important. I know that the Attorney General race is going to be really important. But you cannot ignore the judicial races. And you're going to see on your ballot Supreme Court, Courts of Appeals, district courts, county courts. I'm running for a district court bench. Erin's running for a county court bench. And all the way down to Justice of the Peace. They're all important in preserving your rights and, frankly, the key to the resistance that we need to save our democracy.
One of the things I want to say is, as Lily said, we're under attack. And see that more than in 2024. Because in 2024, what happened was a great big PAC formed. They poured millions of dollars into marketing and honestly misrepresenting what our courts were doing. They were talking about how the Court of Appeals was soft on crime. Court of Appeals didn't handle bill hearings. We couldn't be soft on crime. It wasn't something that we even had the ability to do. But they were pouring money into those races. And one of the ways that they were able to really undermine the judiciary, Harris County being a prime example, is they picked the lowest hanging fruit judges. As Democrats, sometimes we elect great judges, sometimes we don't. And what happens is we get wedded to these incumbents. We get wedded to, well, we know this name, so why not? And what happens is, if we're not paying attention, the Republicans are. And they pick that Exhibit A judge and say, this is why we don't elect Democratic judges. And then we lose an entire slate of hardworking, dedicated Democratic judges. And one of the reasons that Liz and I are both running against incumbent judges are because we don't want to lose our good Democratic judges because of a few, for lack of a better word, bad apples. We need judges who are coming to court. So for County Court at Law number 1, one of the things we do are the appeals for eviction cases. So you've got your JP judges who are hearing that anytime you're appealing that, whether you are a landlord or whether you are a tenant, whether you are a homeowner, etc. When you appeal that, that goes to the County Court at Law. What happens if the judge is never on the bench? I can tell you that one of the commissioners even commented on the fact that the judge whose bench I'm running for hadn't been to work all year. As of August, she had not been to work. Yes. No, that's fine. She said what? This judge, there were some medical concerns, obviously, but for 8 months, an unelected Republican sat as the visiting judge on her bench. Let me say that again. An unelected Republican sat for 8 months in this court. And even before this time, there were issues with this judge being on the bench, with people getting hearings. And I 100% believe justice delayed is justice denied. And when people don't have access to the courts, then what's their other option?
Now, the reason these courts are important, the benches that Erin and I are both running for actually hear very similar types of cases. The bench I'm running for does not hear eviction appeals, but other than that, they're civil disputes. And you may say, oh, that's just people arguing about money. But Erin said something really important there. Justice delayed is justice denied. And you know what? Justice delayed is also really expensive. When cases are pending for years and years and years because they are not set for trial or rulings are not made or judges are not showing up, guess what? Those lawyers have to keep preparing. They can prepare for that trial setting and then they don't get reached. And the 10th time that's happened, they've had to prepare their witnesses 10 separate times. They have had to go back and see, has anything changed since the last time I prepared for trial? It makes these cases extraordinarily expensive. And if it takes you forever to get a hearing, it delays your case. If it takes you forever to go and sit and wait for hours until the judge hears your hearing, you're all paying your lawyers on an hourly basis for the most part. And so it simply costs more. Not only justice delayed is justice denied, it also is really expensive. Also, Democrats are happening. There's objective data showing that this is happening. Now, the statistics for the courts are published now. So you can find those online. You can see what judges seem to be moving their cases and which judges are not. You can also, the newspapers starting to do a pretty good job of reporting on these things. And you can learn about things like mandamus orders from the Court of Appeals. What we have seen, and this is new in my career, and I've been practicing more than 30 years, courts of appeals ordering judges just do something, make a ruling. I believe in both of the courts we're running for, that has happened. The Court of Appeals had said, just do something. They've had to go to the Court of Appeals to get that order, and that's frankly shameful.
It's shameful, it's expensive, it's time-consuming, and having sat on the Court of Appeals, I've reviewed those motions. I've been on those orders saying, oh my goodness, this case has been pending for 2 years. We just need you to rule on the first motion that was filed. That's a real concern.
You can also go to the Commission on Judicial Conduct. They accept complaints regarding judges, and you can go in there and see what a panel of judges from both political parties have decided in terms of those complaints. And there's a lot to be seen there. You can also follow the Commissioner's Court. The Dallas County Commissioner's Court recently has been talking about, there was an issue related to a pay raise that the legislature allowed this year. And as they're discussing it, the commissioners are looking at the data and they're saying, hold on, we have some non-performing judges here. And this is an all-Democratic commissioner's court. This isn't red versus blue politics. This is Dallas County expects its public servants to be doing their job. You can also check out the, let's see, I left something out here. Dallas bar polls. Those are going to be coming out every other year. The Dallas Bar Association sends a poll, and you are allowed to respond to the judges you have appeared before. So this isn't a popularity contest. You're supposed to have appeared before these judges. And they're ranked on a wide variety of things, including timelinesses of rulings, knowledge of the law, judicial demeanor, and kind of overall performance. I believe those are the four things where they're evaluated. So there are objective ways for voters who are not lawyers to get this information, and I urge you to do that. I urge you to do this, educate yourself so that you can be an educated voter, and then share your research with your friends.
I really thank you all for listening to us. I wanted to speak before I walked around in the crowd, but if you have questions for Liz or I, we are so happy to answer those questions. I understand how hard it is to look down a ballot of a whole bunch of judges that you don't know what they do and what they mean, but we want to help you gain that knowledge and information. The Dallas Bar Poll especially are lawyers who are practicing for that, and I can tell you that both Liz and I have a lot of support for lawyers who practice in the two courts that we're running for because there have been so many concerns. And again, if they're not doing their job, they're not serving Dallas County. And both Liz and I are chomping at the bit to come and serve you as public servants in Dallas County. We know why these benches are important. We've both we've practiced in these courts. I have handled appeals from all of these courts. I know what's going on in these courts, and I know that we can do better.
Thank you. And we have petitions here if you'd like to sign our petitions to get on the ballot.
Thank you so much. And we are going to be doing this on an ongoing basis. Our freedom of speech that is being attacked is very much tied up in the courts. When we don't have courts that defend our constitutional rights, that's when we start to lose them. So I hope that you all will invest the time to know who these people are and support them in the ways that you can. So thank you for the idea to do this, Elaine. I appreciate that. We are going to move on to acknowledging candidates that are here tonight. And this is going to be a little bit more. There's more candidates than I thought would be here, which I'm glad of, because this is a great opportunity to meet people, right? So I am just going to point people out as I see them, and if I miss you, it's either that I didn't know you were running, or I'm sorry, I don't know your name, I'm sorry. And this is your opportunity to tell me your name. So I'm going to start at the very back. There is a man in a blue shirt back there, and his name is Zach Herbert. Zach is running for HD 112, and that is against the, can I say it, dishonorable Angie Chen Button. So we are supporting the, right, you hear her? She's Tracy Shelby, thank you, is running for the 298 Civil District Court. All right. Thank you for coming tonight. Somebody, hi. Paula Rosales is running for Precinct 3, Place 2, JP. Thank you for coming. Y'all hear that? Thank you. Thank you for running. Raise your hand if you are running for something and I did not say your name. Family District Court 302. And I'm sorry, say your name again. Desiree. Raise your hand. Don't be shy. I'm not going to say that yet. Okay. Let me just tell you something else about candidates. Yeah, Bob Hall is my senator, and we gotta beat him, you guys. We gotta get him out of office. We don't have to claim. I don't have to claim him. You're right, but I do want to get him out of office. We've got to run against him. Okay, we are going to move around. If you didn't tell me that you're running for something, I am sorry. I don't know, and please come up to me and tell me that next time we need to know. But right now we're going to move along, and we are going to introduce Kendall Scudder. Kendall Scudder needs no introduction, and yet I am privileged to introduce our state party chair, a friend of mine, and this man is changing Texas. Thank you very much.
Jenny Laughlin, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is such a great turnout. Thank you, Richardson, for letting me come and hang out with y'all. It's always just kind of overwhelming to even be here. I'm just a farm kid from East Texas, and it's weird to even get invited. I grew up on a Purple Hole pea farm in East Texas with lesbian mamas, which is how you know that I know how to fight. When I was 12 years old, Republicans were writing bills to take kids with same-sex parents out of our homes and put us in foster care. So I started knocking on doors. And for the last 23 years, I've served on every level of leadership in our party, including being elected as one of only 2 millennials in the country leading a major party here in Texas. Here's the thing about being the millennial chair. It's that I hope you understand that it's with a great affection for this party in my heart that I'm probably going to lay some hard truths on you today, Democrats. And it's because I genuinely believe that if this party intends to move forward, if this party intends to have success, we have to encounter within ourselves some hard truths. Here's the first one. Democrats have failed. I say that with great affection for this party who's given me and my family everything we've ever had. But this party has failed to connect with people that are counting on us. What does it mean when we fail? It's not like when some rando fails out somewhere. When this party fails, there are consequences. When this party fails, there are children who don't have access to public schools. There are families that don't have access to health care. There are people who die. When this party fails to meet the moment that's standing in front of them. So I challenge every one of you today to rethink the way this party has been operating. That is what I ran on. That's what I intend to bring to the Texas Democratic Party. My challenge to every one of these candidates here today is that I better not hear a single one of you out on the campaign trail talking about how you're going to preserve Social Security. You're going to talk about how you're going to expand Social Security. I don't want to see you talking about how everyone should be able to see a doctor. We have to make sure that the little guy at the bottom gets his fair share, because we're tired of sitting at the bottom and groveling for crumbs and not feeling like there is a party standing up and fighting back for the little guy. That's who in modern history our party has always been. I grew up, my granddaddy was born on that same Purple Hole pea farm into a wash bucket with nobody in the room but his mama, in a farm that only had electricity because of Franklin Roosevelt, Sam Rayburn, the New Deal, and the Democratic Party.
That's right.
He walked to school on cattle paths, alternating the days that he would go with his brothers because they shared a single pair of boots. And he went to schools that were mandated for the very first time by Democrats, while Republicans kicked and screamed and called it socialism, and he became the first person in our family who could read or write.
Wow.
In 1959, when the droughts hit Texas, our family lost everything. And we depended on programs from the Great Society of Lyndon Johnson, things like Medicare and Medicaid and expansions of Social Security programs that reduced poverty in this country by 75%. Big, bold, progressive ideas that change lives for working class people. And as a little kid in East Texas, when I started listening to the news, I asked my mama, who had me when she was a teenager. She didn't vote, okay? I asked her, what's the difference? What are these Democrats? What are these Republicans? And she said to me, Democrats are for the little people. Republicans are for corporations. We're Democrats. She knew as a teenage mother who had never voted in her life who she was. Do you know why? Because Democrats earned it. We earned that support from working class people. So back to the hard truth. When working class people walk away from our party, when we lose those votes in elections, it is no one's fault but our own, because we have failed to earn the votes of those people. I went to the grocery store the other day and cereal was $7 a box. Let's put that as a frame of reference for some folks. That means to buy a box of cereal in this economy, you now have to work an hour as a minimum wage worker for the opportunity for one box of cereal. That is the economy that has been created by Donald Trump and his billionaire Republican buddies. Make no mistake, the Republican Party today is nothing more than a conglomeration of class traders and trust fund babies who are lining up for their opportunity to feed at the trough of the American taxpayer, and we are not going to allow them to do it. So, to rethink the way this party operates, it means that we have to do things differently. I know change is scary. Change is hard. But that failure I described earlier should be scarier to you. The failure I described earlier should be harder to face than trying new things to make sure that this party gets drug into the 21st century, whether they like it or not. Opening up offices in Dallas, in Houston, in Amarillo, and in Eagle Pass to make sure that people across this country, across this state, know that they have a state party that's working as hard as they are. What we also have to do is make sure that in our messaging and the work we're doing, we're not being led around by the nose by a bunch of Republicans trying to get us to fall into their traps. I'm sorry? That's right. We have to make sure that we convey what we stand for, not that we don't like them. Tell people we don't like them, that's fine. But the way you earn generational support for this party is winning elections, campaigning for working class people, and then delivering for those working class people when we win. Holding Democrats accountable to deliver for those people. I want to give you a couple facts that might scare you. Did you know that the Texas Democratic Party has no Spanish language comms department? 30 to 35% of Texans speak Spanish at home, and we've not even walked in the door to talk to those people. And our jaws are on the ground when they leave our party and they don't vote for us, right? Wow, can't believe that they didn't vote for us when we didn't even bother walking in the door to talk to them. These challenges are the failure of our party apparatus. It's the failure of the DNC, the TDP, every one of us across the board. And we have to own it if we ever want to get through it. This is said from a place of love. And I hope that you know that under new leadership at the Texas Democratic Party, I am doing everything I can to make sure that we are changing the way that this party operates in Texas. Laser focused on one thing only, the only thing that matters to the chairman of the Texas Democratic Party, winning some fucking elections. I don't care what which wing of the party you come from. This year, we're all from the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, laser focused on working together on a team in a shared vision of winning elections. And as I wrap, because I know I've gone over my time and I apologize, as I wrap, I want to say that there are lots of different things you can do to help the movement. You know what those things are, okay? Going up to Jenny and those wonderful folks working the table to sign up to volunteer, making sure that you're conveying the message of big, bold, progressive ideas that change lives for working families in those volunteer efforts. Number two, you can always sign up to become monthly contributors to the party. Number three, the most valuable thing that you can do to help the Democratic Party. Before I say it, I want to shout out 3 people that are here today that I haven't had a chance to do that to. If there's more, I'm sorry I missed you. But I believe that there's 3 members of the State Democratic Executive Committee here. I know Nate Clark is here. I know Larry Davis is here. Larry's the county chair out in Greenville, Texas. I know Mike Rollins was here. Mike. I promise I'm going to get to number 3, but I can't end a statement without recognizing these folks, because the only reason I've had the opportunity to do this, and the only reason that I've had the opportunity to try to bring change to our party, is because those 3 gentlemen have stood by my side and supported me in the work that I'm doing. And I'm so grateful for that. It's as hard as you think to bring change to the party, and those 3 have been very helpful. Okay. The third thing that you can do to be helpful to our cause is to be loud and proud about who you are as a Texas Democrat. That might sound a little hokey, okay? But it's just the truth. What they're trying to do right now is make us ashamed of who we are and what we stand for. What would we be ashamed of? We're right. Yeah. There's nothing to be afraid of in arguing or standing up for our values as a party. When I think of the great things that this party has, or that this country has done in the last 100 years, I think of things that were done by Democrats. I think of things like the New Deal I talked about earlier, that brought electricity and clean water and Social Security to families that were counting on us for that opportunity to survive. We did it because as a party, we understood the complexity of economics. We understood that investing in those rural communities meant that rural folks were now buying light bulbs and lamps and dishwashers. It rebounded the American economy from the Great Depression, saved the world during World War II. Democrats delivered that with Republican opposition every step of the way. I think of the Great Society, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, brought to you by Democrats, reducing poverty in this country by 75% with Republican obstruction every step of the way, because they said it was socialism. It was brought to you by Democrats. We put a man on the moon. Can we organize in both rural and urban areas? We put a man on the moon. When everyone said it was impossible, it was a farce, it was a fantasy, it was something you only read about in children's books, Democrats knew that investing in science and academia would put a man on the motherfucking moon. And make no mistake about it, don't let a person in a red hat lead you astray. We were the party that provided the last balanced budget that this country has ever seen. But Richardson area Democrats, what I'm here to tell you today is that that was not just brought to you by Democrats. It was brought to you by Texas Democrats. Because Sam Rayburn gave you the New Deal, and Lyndon Johnson gave you the Great Society. Houston scientists put a man on the moon. Lloyd Benson balanced that budget. When Texas Democrats have our shit together, this whole country sees such great things ahead of it. But when Texas Democrats don't, the National Party loses its vision. The National Party requires us to drag it forward with big, bold, progressive ideas that change lives for working class people. Know that you can count on me and the Texas Democratic Party in this upcoming election to tirelessly do everything that we can to change the course of this party, to put it back on track, and to start winning elections to save people's lives. We've had great progress over the last 5 months, and we're just getting started. Thank you very much, Richardson.
Y'all, he has been at this for 6 months now. But before you won, he has been everywhere across this state and outside of this state. Thank you very much. He went with those Democrats that broke quorum. He went out there with them. He is doing everything that we have needed for years. We have never heard from a Democratic Party chair before, and we have him here with us to tell you guys what to do. And that's why we're here tonight, and thank you so much. Oh, okay. We do need to call this out. He said blah 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 on this, but I want you guys to know when he took office, the Democratic Party was in the shitter. We had a ton of debt, and this man has gone out, and you can tell why. People said, I can believe in that. I can give to the I did for the first time when he told me about it. I am now a monthly donor to the Texas Democratic Party. That's right. I mean, there's a lot of us. And he has gotten the party in the black. Woo! In 5 months. That's the first time I've heard that. $2 million. We are so privileged to have Kendall Scudder as our chair, and we're going to win. We're going to win. And when we win, we are also going to win the Attorney General's office. And we are finally going to have law and order in this state. And tonight, to tell you guys, I am just so happy that our friend Joe Jaworski is here tonight. Honor to introduce Joe Jaworski to those of you who don't know him, my friends. Come on up.
Well, I hope you're as proud of your president as I am. Great turnout tonight. This is one of the preeminent clubs in the state of Texas. It's good to be back in Richardson. And let me introduce myself to those who I have not yet met. I am Joe Jaworski. I am a third-generation Texas lawyer, a former mayor of Galveston, and I'm the grandson of a Texan who prosecuted World War II Nazis. He also prosecuted the President of the United States of America and won. What's old is new again. His blood is my blood. And so hear me when I say, I am ready, I am unafraid, and I am running to be your next Attorney General. Yeah. I'm running to be Attorney General because justice cannot be for sale. I'll lead with integrity, not indictments. And I will fight the bullies, and I will push back against the Trump MAGA agenda. Richardson, let's all be clear about what this race is really about. It's about more than laws and courtrooms. It's truly about the heart and soul of who we are as Democrats and who we are as Texans. Because as the chairman pointed out, when Texas Democrats have their act together and are leading on the national stage, things happen in the right way. When you have Texas Republicans leading on the world stage, chaos ensues. And it's our opportunity, it is our duty to use the following facts that are all going to coincide at the same time in 2026 to fix this problem. We know what the problem is. We've had 30 years of Republican leadership, and it's bad in the governor's office. It's bad with the Lieutenant Governor Ginny. But when the Attorney General is occupied by the likes of Ken Paxton, he can file suit in the Supreme Court of the United States and disable the rule of law. Imagine a Democrat who is a proud product of Texas law schools who would come and represent the people. In my view, past behavior is an indicator of future performance. I am a former mayor of Galveston, never got a dime for it. Before that, I was on the city council for 6 years. And it was the sort of service that was pro bono. You'd give everyone your cell phone, and you would be there to say, how can I help you? Well, when I was elected mayor, it was shortly after a crisis. And that crisis was Hurricane Ike in 2008. What happened was a 100-year storm that blew people out of their homes. People were truly bereft. And Galveston, being the jewel of the Gulf that many of you come to love, was on its back. And it was not pretty. And what's interesting is, at the time, we talk about how Democrats make a difference. Our congressman was Dr. Ron Paul. And having been on the team with the mayor, we went to Ron Paul and said, won't you help us? And he said, I'm sorry, I don't believe in handouts. Now think about how that must be to a tax-paying local. But we've paid our taxes dutifully every year, and Congressman, you won't help us. Here's a little-known fact about Galveston's recovery, and it's something I am intimately aware of and proud of my island. It was the Black Ministers Association of Galveston that saved our island. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when Dr. Paul wouldn't help us, you know who they called? The great Texas Democratic Congresswoman, Sheila Jackson Lee. And they called our congressman in the 9th, Al Green. And they put a package together when Obama was president and when Harry Reid was the majority leader and when Nancy Pelosi was the speaker. And they put a package together that was $1 billion to rebuild Galveston. The reason I'm telling you this story is that I succeeded as mayor, Lyda Ann Thomas, this Democrat, Henry Cisneros, when he was working for Clinton as HUD secretary. And it's called mixed income development. What this means is you triple the number of units, doctors and lawyers, nurses and firemen, teachers, and yes, income eligible public housing tenants. Well, you can imagine that this was very popular in certain areas, but it wasn't in others. The racists came after it. And even worse, the landlords who made bank on Section 8 properties that they owned came after me. Yeah, they had a recall. I beat the recall. They recruited candidates to run against me. I beat them all except my main opponent. And I made it to a runoff in June 2012. Now, you guys go back in your mind and remember what was going on in 2012. That is when Ted Cruz ascended to power. So go back to that era, and you know what I'm talking about, that ugly Tea Party. This is what your man Joe Jaworski was mayor within this atmosphere. And I'll never forget 2 weeks before the runoff election where I was fighting for my life, but convinced that in my bones I knew mixed income development was the way to go, to stand right by our people, because everyone deserves to come home after a disaster. There I was. And the cabal asked for a midnight meeting, as I like to call it. They wanted to talk to me, and so I went to hear them out. And it was incredible what they proposed. It was as absurd as it was ugly. They said, look, Jaworski, you drop this plan, and we'll pull our candidate back and he'll endorse you. Well, I told them all to go to hell. I called a special meeting of the Housing Authority the next week, and we made sure to sign the notice to proceed on this magnificent plan of mixed income development. Right in front of them, we signed it. I lost the election a week later. But you know what? After 3 years of federal litigation, our plan stood like a well-built foundation in a hurricane, and that mixed income development was built. And it's now fully occupied, and children are safe when they walk to school. The families have cookouts. There is trick-or-treating in Halloween. Families are safe and they are at peace because everyone deserves to come home. The reason I tell you this story is that past performance really is an indicator of what the future brings. I'm not going to be scared in the office of the Attorney General because I know that I'm going to be dealing with some hostile forces, possibly in state government and most certainly in the federal government. And I tell you these stories because you have a choice. Are we going to have a fighter? It is our time now to lead this state.
Yes.
The road ahead will not be easy, my friends, but it's ours to walk together. And I say that journey, that consequential journey, begins right here at 4 Bullets in Richardson. Jenny, I'm telling you, Richardson area Democrats, let us go forward and show the state. Actually, let's show the nation what true Democratic leadership looks like. It looks like this. I'll never lie to you. I can't be bought, and I have your back. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, man. Our next speaker is here tonight to talk to us about, and we had, like, y'all, I didn't mean to bring, like, all the heavy hitters out on the same night, but here, yes, you are, our next speaker. This is Sean McCaffity. He is my friend and a former Seating 3. Yeah, I did. I said right there. I was not the one person. A bunch of us did. I did. He ran in 2018 and 20. Oh, 2020. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm going to let Sean tell you about why he's here.
All right, so this is, we're going to...
You saved the beer.
All right. Lulu Cycling could not have saved it. I'm just saying. Okay, so I am currently an attorney here in town. I was an attorney back when I ran for office, and I am, because I ran in office, for some reason, since that time, been involved in a whole bunch of civil rights work that has changed my practice. And so now I have the great honor of representing the Mexican American Legislative Caucus in challenging the state of Texas in the redistricting litigation, So Jenny asked me, she reached out and said, hey, just can you give us an update since we just had this huge fight about redistricting and the quorum break because of redistricting, and it's a national issue. Can you give us an update on what is going on? And I said, I'm happy to do that. I don't know what I'm going to update you about because no one really knows what's going on. But I'm happy to sort of give you a brief update, and then we'll turn this into a participatory section of tonight. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you because I don't know exactly what you guys want to know. I, along with like 6, 7 other plaintiff groups, tried the redistricting challenge to the House maps, the Senate maps, and the congressional map that was passed in 2021. And that trial happened at the end of May and early June, went for 3 weeks out in El Paso in front of 3 federal judges, and we are currently waiting a ruling on that. In fact, we were supposed to be submitting some final findings of fact and conclusions of law for the judges to consider and hopefully issue a ruling in October. And then all the nonsense with the special session and the redistricting in the congressional map happened. And now we have a new trial about the new map starting on October 1st. So what's going to happen, I think, and who knows what will happen, you can't really predict what 3 federal judges are going to do. But we're going to have a trial and an injunction to try to stop the new congressional map from going into effect on October 1st. The claims in that case, I think, are pretty, I don't know how we'll do on the trial that we did in 2021, but they do seem not very happy with the state of Texas and passing this new congressional map. And so there's at least a chance that based on what happened, that after a trial they'll decide that this, under the way the current set of the laws work, we have to enjoin it, and then it'll be up to our good friends in DC and the Supreme Court to decide whether or not that happens or not. But I think there's probably a decent chance that it gets, that we can get an injunction, and then whether or not the Supreme Court lets that stand or not, we'll see. But it starts on October 1st. There's going to be probably 8 or 9 days of trial, and it's really just going to be about drawing maps based on race were defended in the first instance that this particular panel is going to take a hard look at what the state did. And the good news is for everyone, despite the fact that the panel from a partisan perspective is people say, oh, there's 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat, never heard of it. I sat in that courtroom for 3 weeks with them. And they listened and were engaged, and despite their whatever partisan beliefs they have, they gave us a fair trial. And I fully expect them to give us a fair trial this next go around. And if they do that, and they follow the law, I would expect them to say, this map's got to be enjoined, and if the Supreme Court wants to change the law, which they're going to like, that's up to them. And that'll be the next path. And when that happens, who knows, but hopefully before 2026 is November elections. So that's the current state of things. I'm happy to try to answer questions if anyone has any questions or wants to know sort of what's going on.
Can you talk at all about Beto's thing?
Oh yeah, I can talk about Beto too. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
a little closer.
Yeah. Basically, the Attorney General has sued Beto and his organization, Powered by People, in order to try to stop them from fundraising. That's essentially what they did. It was entirely a ruse in order to just try to fish and get information from Beto and Powered by People in order to try to find some kind of improper political campaign contribution, either from Beto to a Texas Democrat member or from Powered by People to a Texas Democrat member. They don't have any evidence of that. Side note, it didn't happen. But they don't have any evidence of that. And so what they tried to do is file this suit to evidence of a criminal violation that they could gin up. And in doing that, they invoked a procedure under the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, which is entirely for our benefits, for consumers. When we go and try and buy goods and services, we do a consumer transaction. If someone lies to you, you can sue them. It doesn't apply to political donations. It doesn't apply to charitable contributions. But despite that, they said, Beto lied to these people when he said he wanted to get money, and so therefore it's a DTPA violation, and he has to be stopped. And the judge in Fort Worth granted them an injunction that said he has to be stopped and he's restrained. We've since gotten that dissolved, basically. The 15th Court of Appeals has said, no, that's a prior restraint on speech. It violates the First Amendment, and that can't stand. And now the Court of Appeals is deciding some of the other legal issues. There's a question about whether or not it should be properly in El Paso versus Fort Worth, or whether or not the DTPA technically applies and they have the right to sue them to try to get a fine if they can find some evidence. There may be some further proceedings on that. The Court of Appeals has not ruled on those issues. And so that's where that currently stands. But as it stands right now, it's a huge win for the First Amendment, because the 15th Court of Appeals basically said, hey, we don't care how much you think he might have done something bad. Just because you think he did something bad, you can't stop him from doing what is core political speech. What I'm doing right now, what all the speakers tonight have done, which is just exhort you guys to do as like-minded individuals what you should be doing, is organize, associate, rally together for a common cause. And if the AG has his way, no one is safe from that. Every political organization, RAD, every charitable organization, the United Way, every religious organization, your local church could be targeted because under their theory, if you gave money and you didn't use it for what you said you were going to use it for, or you lied about the reason you were asking for it, we can stop it and we can stop you from doing it. And that's not the law, and the First Amendment clearly says that's not the law, and so far, the courts of Texas have said that's not the law. But the 15th Court of Appeals, as you might have seen from Beto's tweets, is a bunch of Beto-loving judges. Actually, they're all Abbott appointees. So every single one of those judges understands. I mean, I was talking to Justice Peterson over here, the one that's yelling, the peanut gallery, earlier. Thank you for your service, sir. About this very thing. The one thing that we do have common cause with some of the conservatives on is free speech. And we see a lot of that right now with the whole nonsense with Jimmy Kimmel and Charlie Kirk and all of that it is fracturing their party, because there are many of them that we do have the same core beliefs. It doesn't matter how vile the speech is, you still get to say it. And many of those justices on the 15th Court of Appeals I disagree with them on a lot, if not most everything, but I probably do agree with them on the First Amendment. And you cannot use it, you cannot weaponize speech for political purposes if you're in a position of power. And that's what we're fighting against, and so far, so good. Knock on wood. We'll keep winning there, but I'm hopeful that the First Amendment will continue to withstand the scrutiny of people like Ken Paxton. God, Joel, please win. Please win. Please win. But I'm happy to answer any questions, but before I leave, I wanted to echo two things from the two prior speakers. One is Kendall is correct, at least in one sense, on a lot of things, but at least what he started with, which was our party has failed, and so we need to act basically as a motivator for you guys. I want to emphasize, whatever happens in the redistricting, nothing will change unless we actually go out there, mobilize, and put people in office that will change it. And so, if you do not get out there and vote and tell all of your friends and all of your family members, because anybody you talk to, even my crazy MAGA-loving mom who went to my campaign rallies and told people she wouldn't vote for me, which is true, it's crazy, she agrees that the redistricting is crazy because no one should be doing that. And so you do need to get out there, and the only way to fix it is to mobilize and vote. So just remember that. And then the second thing I would just say is I want to thank Joe and his family personally, because I was a recipient of the Jaworski Scholarship at Baylor Law School, which was set up by the Jaworski family, and I wouldn't be here and helping doing what I am doing if it wasn't for the love of his family for the rule of love and democracy. And actually, got to meet Joe for the first time in person tonight, and yeah, I mean, we crossed paths but never actually met until tonight, and he's awesome. Everyone go vote for Jaworski.
See, it's not just me. Does anybody have any questions for Sean? Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Chelsea. My question is, if this Texas House map goes into effect, and then we have Gavin Newsom in California who wants to do his, and then what if Florida does, and then New York does, and then before we know it, 50 states each have their own map. What are the potential long-term ramifications of that, if you have ideas?
Nothing good. That's a short answer. I don't really know. I don't know. I suspect that you will see sort of an arms race of all of the different states trying to increase their number of partisan representation based on their current partisan makeup, which you've already started to see with Missouri, California, and Illinois. None of that is good. The good thing about the states doing that, but yet not having actually gone through with it, but threatening it and starting the process, is that's actually, I think, a relatively compelling argument to the judges that are going to hear the challenges to these maps, as they can be a stopgap. Like, they may have to bite their lip and vote in favor of an injunction to stop the redistricting map, despite the fact that that's not what their party wants. But these federal judges are thoughtful, and they, at least the ones in this particular case that I'm handling, and they will think long and hard about the long-term implications. And so I don't, in the short term, it might help our case that this arms race of redistricting is occurring. In the long term, if it actually happens, there's a Second Amendment for a reason. I mean, seriously, like conflict, like civil strife. I mean, that's unfortunately, I think, where this country seems to be headed. And it's not from I don't want you to go start it. We should all avoid it. It's terrible. But the reality is the polarization and the division is getting more and more extreme. And as you start to see regional groupings of the states coalesce into what they want to do with this redistricting and line up along the same ways, you start to see something for the first time that we haven't seen since the 1850s. And so it's just very, very concerning and chilling, which is why I'm not running for office anymore, but instead fighting in court and trying to frickin' stop it.
I didn't understand this part, and I want to ask you to explain this to the group. There was a case that you've been working on since 2021-22, someplace in there, about those gerrymandered maps. And when this one came up, you substituted in the current map, added the maps, and this is what this is what that thing has become. So if they put an injunction against these maps, what happens to the case against the ones that were already gerrymandered?
So that's a really good question, and it's sort of confusing. It is not sort of confusing, it is confusing. There was a trial in May and June on the Texas House map, the Texas Senate map, and the congressional map. And that was completed. So we were awaiting a ruling on those three things. The special session was called after that trial was completed. All the evidence is in. Frankly, the evidence that's going to come in on the new map is probably going to help on that other stuff too. But what the most likely scenario is an injunction against the new congressional map happens, and they are required to use, an injunction means you can't use the new map. Yeah, you can't use the new map, so that means you're going to have to use the 2021 map because there's just not enough time to get a ruling on the reasons why the 2021 map is unconstitutional. But those issues are still out there. So what might happen is that in 2026, God willing, we'll have to go to the 2021 map for Congress, have an election, and at some point after November 2026, we'll get a ruling from the court, maybe beforehand, but it'll probably not be early enough for them to deal with it before the election. And so, you know, there's this weird thing with redistricting and voting rights law where if you challenge a map that is when you challenge it, if you challenge it too close to the election date, it's too late. The courts will not intervene because the election machinery has already started. But then if you challenge it after the election, it's too late because the election happened. And so you have this weird, redistricting and voting rights law is really weird. It's like sometimes you can challenge it, sometimes it's like Schrodinger's cat, but for voting rights. And so right now we're in a position where we can probably get a ruling on the new map that was just passed to stop it before 2026. But if we do that, probably not enough time for the court to rule on everything before 2026. But we'll see.
Are the 2021 maps? I'm sorry. Are the 2021 maps actually in use?
The current maps. Yeah. The ones, yeah, everything that's drawn that we're talking about here are the 2021 maps. And the challenges to the 2021 maps, for at least for Congress, are really just challenges like they should have we're not challenging any particular district as a gerrymander. It's really a question of the demographics and the minority population growth in Texas demanded you draw a minority opportunity district in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and in the Harris County area. And you did not add a Black or Latino district in Harris County or DFW, and as a result, that violates the Voting Rights Act. That's what the claim was originally, or still is. But that has sort of now been short-circuited by this new challenge to the new map, which is just like, you straight up racist. You just drew this stuff because you wanted to get rid of a bunch of minority votes. You should donate to, not me, but if you are so inclined to the Mexican American Legislative Caucus, we're sort of doing it pro bono. Not totally pro bono, but like based on my normal rates, basically pro bono. They're not paying us very much, and they're a caucus for legislators, and we're like, the fight is worth it, right? But they do need money, and the Texas NAACP is one of the plaintiff groups. The Fair Maps is one of the plaintiff groups. The Elias Democracy Project is one of the plaintiffs groups. So like choose, frankly, any one of those nonprofits. If you wanted to get money for this specific purpose, that would be fine. Otherwise, continue to engage and can hopefully educate people about why they need to get out there and vote Democrats into the office, because we're the only ones that are willing to actually impose redistricting limits on ourselves. So.
I would love to just keep this conversation going, but I also know that you guys have been here a long time and it's warm, and I want to be respectful of your time. So thank you, Sean, for coming out tonight. Thank you for the work that you're doing, that you're always doing for us. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, there's a couple of things that I want to, I don't think that Kardal made it. Is Kardal here? Kardal Coleman was going to speak to us tonight. He's the Democratic Party chair of the, you got to go? Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Kardal is the chair of the Democratic Party of Dallas County, and he was going to come and speak to us tonight, but there was another little upstart that got a group together tonight. Tallarico? This is our night, man. No, he's down in Deep Ellum tonight, and and good on him. We're thrilled that he's in the race. And but Kardal got in that and didn't get away from it, so we're not going to get to hear from him tonight. So maybe we'll get to hear from him next month. But to wrap up things, I want to tell you about things that are coming up, because there's a bunch of us here that aren't usually here. There's a bunch of us here that are usually here. And I think all of us are wondering what we can do to move this ball forward, what we can do to stand up against the clearly fascist, work that's being done by our state and federal government. So one thing is we are protesting. We have got a protest team now, and some of my team members are here. Who are you? We've got people here, Becca and Mari, and I think I saw Sina come in. Sina is up on that bridge. In case y'all haven't seen her, she's got that huge banner that is just, it's causing some attention, I'd say.
Traffic delays.
It's a little bit of traffic. I noticed the traffic. I saw you guys when I was coming, but I was heading the other way, and I noticed the other side was going quite a bit slower than we were.
Well, tonight there was a wreck.
Oh, well, but it was good they got to see her. What did your message say tonight?
Tonight it said, freedom requires free speech.
Yes! Yes! What?
Say it for the stream. What'd you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. It said, freedom requires free speech. And that is a what, like 15-foot tall, very legible thing that's happening there. They're there on Thursday evening from 4 to 6, and they could use some help up there. They carry their big flags, and they are holding a big sign that is pretty heavy. They could use some help up on that bridge, y'all. So Thursday evening from 4 to 6, and then again on Saturday morning from 9 to 10. They are up on the bridge at Collins over 75.
And even if you can't get there till 5:15, I don't care.
Yeah, just y'all. We've got some cool stuff. We're working on coordinating that bridge protest at least across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's a lot of clubs, and we can get those bridges covered all over this freaking city. And beyond that, I got big ideas, y'all. It's going to be across the state. We're going to have coordinated bridge protests, and everybody's going to see it. It's going to be on the New York Times.
Yes!
Yeah, it is. And I'm not just blowing smoke. Okay, so we're doing that. That's an opportunity for y'all to come out. It is a shot in the arm to do this stuff, y'all. On Saturday mornings, we are meeting at 75 and Campbell on the southeast corner, and right there in front of Russo's Pizza and Pasta. We meet there from 10 until 11, and boy, you talk about some energy out there. I mean, people love seeing us, y'all. And I'm serious. They love it. We love it. Last time, we didn't go out last weekend. We felt we wouldn't push our luck. But the weekend before, we had 2 guys that were driving by, 3 guys that were driving by, and they pulled over into the parking lot and said, "You got any extra signs?" That helps people feel like they can do something. They want to be a part of this. When one person stands up, more people will stand up. So y'all are all welcome to be out there. We have 50 to 75 people that are on that corner. It is powerful. So please come out. We're out there every Saturday morning. We have the mobilize that you'll probably get when you will give your feedback on tonight's meeting. You'll get the next thing that's happening on our Mobilize. So we've got those two. We've got protests coming up. We also have October 18th is No King's Day. That's our next big, huge national event. We are going to be meeting and going down on the DART rail to downtown. We're going to be wearing these t-shirts, and we're going to be going as a big group. Last time we went down was it June or July? No, it was June. God, it was hot. We had about 150 people that showed up and went down on that. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good energy there. So we're going to be going again on that. There'll be a Mobilize coming out on that too. So we really want you guys to come and join us for that. Beyond that, we have This Is Our Place every third Thursday. And we will be back here next month on October 16th. And we will be listening to, hearing from the other Attorney General candidate, who is also our senator, state senator in Richardson, Nathan Johnson, will be here next month. And I have also, and I'm just going to put this out there because I like to put things out in the world that if I just say it, maybe it's going to happen. I invited James Tallarico to also come. So why not? Why not invite? And sometimes they say yes, so we'll see. We'll see about that, but that'd be very cool. He'll be here at some point, y'all. So that is coming up next month. There is a lot going on. We have a lot of fun here. We have a lot of energy here. I hope that you all felt good energy here tonight. And if you did, you can just stand up and cheer for that good energy. Come on. Come on. Get on up. That's right. That's right. We are Texas Democrats. We are Richardson area Democrats. And thank you all for coming out tonight. Let's do this.